Welcome back, chatterers and book lovers, and welcome to anyone who's popped in because you're curious or you're lost. This is part 2 of my getting serious about series, the autumn term, which is everything I read from September to December in 2022. So if you missed part 1, I'm going to link it here, I think is where it's going to pop up. I always say I'm going to get it right as to which side it's going to be, and I always forget. Anyway, I'll be linking part 1, which is where I do an overview of where I was at the end of August, and then talk you through the 6 series that I finished. I'm now going to talk about series that I've started, series that I've progressed with, and ones I'm up to date with, and then look at where everything stands for the end of December, so the final part of the year. I do my videos in one shot because I can't edit them. So cheers everyone, this is one shot, no editing. Let the chaos reign. And it could be very chaotic. Thank you Bandana Book Mum for the advice. I am wearing a bandana because I'm having a very bad hair day. I'm very short for time and this video took a lot longer to set up than I was expecting. And I realised as I was coming to the end of filming my finished books, I'm going to have to do the school run. And it's been raining and it's a half an hour walk, so we're just hiding the hair. Hold on one moment. And there may well be lots of bits where I pause because I need to go and speak to them or help them with something. But we're going to go with it because I've got my books all set up everywhere and then I can put them all away. So let's go there. And I'm not happy with the bandana, so let's fix that as well. There we go. It was all like creased up at the front. Right. So series I started between September and December this year are, I started 6 of them. Technically, no, officially, yes. Oh, let's work out words. Technically, I started 8, but I finished Cogheart and I finished Tawny Man. So yes, it is 6 series. I'm sorry, I'm faffing around because I'm trying to get the books in the right place, and I'll just show you a book pile of the series that I've started and then give you a brief chat about them. Here we go. Here are the 6 series that I've started. I've got a couple of placeholders because from the library, and I'm lending them out. But these are the 6 books. Let me tell you what they are. So I started. So the first placeholder is Ship of Magic by Marie Kuznia. No, it's not Ship of Magic. That's Robin Hobb. The Ship of Shadows. There we go. I started The Ship of Shadows. This is going great already. By Maria Kuznia, which is a middle grade fantasy. It has a beautiful cover. Not this illustrator. It has a beautiful cover, which is illustrated by Carl Dave Mountford. And I don't have it with me at the moment because I have lent it to my mum, the wonderful Nata. So she will be enjoying that series. I had a great time with this book. It was full of utter magical joy that I get from middle grade. That is what I'm looking for. That is what I love. There were some brilliant characters in there. There was a lot of heart. It was such a delightful read. So I can't wait to read the next book, which is The Secrets of the Ship or something like that. I can't remember its title, but there is a second book. I'm hoping there'll be a third book out. That would be really cool. I don't know how many are planned in this series. But we'll see what happens when I get to that one. But I do want to own it, and I'm currently on a book buying ban. So, well, I'm doing the Read What You Own challenge, so I'm not supposed to be buying books. But that is definitely a book on my list. Who am I kidding? I have so many books on my list that I want. But yes, so hopefully I will continue with that at some point, and then I will be up to date because there's only 2 so far. The next series I started was an Ember in the Ashes, and I was enjoying a lovely buddy read with some people from Discord on this one. And this is I didn't have to show you the spine, I could show you the full book because it's the actual book. So this is a YA fantasy by Sabaa Tahir. It has sort of got a military school aspect. There are trials. There is a really kind of well thought out world of different cultures within here. It's definitely an oppressed society, and we get glimmers of kind of magic starting sort of like towards the end. So I'm very excited to continue this series. Was hoping to have it all finished by the end of the year, but there were so many other things I was reading and not everyone had continued with the series either, so I didn't feel I then prioritised other buddy reads because people were actually reading them one a month. So I was able to kind of put this on the back burner a little bit. The next one I read was The Library of the Dead, which is by T.O. Huchu, which is the first book in the Edinburgh Nights series. So there is currently a second one out. I've totally forgotten the name, but there is a second one out. There is a second one out that I do really want to get hold of, and I want to get hold of it in hardback. I was really good. I waited until I read this one before making that decision. They do still have it available in hardback. It is still available in hardback, which makes me happy because I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. It follows it's a YA fantasy again, but it has kind of more of spooky and creepy vibes in it. You follow a really kind of like plucky, gritty, no, not gritty. You follow a protagonist who, she doesn't suffer fools. She is very much dealt kind of like a hard life and has got a lot of things that she's kind of dealing with. And her job is as a ghost whisperer. So she is supposed to like pass on messages from ghosts to their human relations, and then the humans will then pay her for those messages. But she actually ends up kind of being more involved than this. She tries not to be because she's like, I just want to get on with my job and do this and look after my family. But she ends up kind of getting involved in some disappearances and some mysteries, and she is trying to get to grips with like other things that magical aspects that are going on in here. It was really atmospheric. I was really creeped out at certain points, but also delighted by it, and I really love the characters, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the next book. I then have Belladonna by Adeline Grace, which is another YA fantasy. This is a gothic fantasy. So whilst Library of the Dead had kind of like creepy spooky vibes in like more of a horror aspect, this has spooky vibes in more of kind of a gothic picturesque aspect. It's not horror at all, but this was so much fun. I really enjoy our protagonist. We have death personified as a character, which I always enjoy. You have kind of like a sort of like a herbal lore going on within this to a certain extent, and our protagonist, his name I have forgotten. What is she called? Siga, I think it is. Was it Siga? Signa. So Signa is an orphan child. There's kind of a mystery to how she became an orphan, and she is kind of pushed from relative to relative, where they kind of care more about her fortune, that she's not coming into inheritance until she hits a certain age, which I've forgotten, but I think that will happen in the next book. And so she doesn't really kind of have any friends so much, and she's got very kind of a life where she's hasn't really been able to settle down and have any roots. But then she starts the final placement that she's kind of put into. She really starts to care about the people there, and she wants to help them. Well, there's mysteries kind of going on, and she wants to solve them and get to the bottom of what is happening whilst working out. She blames death for a lot of things, and so she's kind of working out that sort of tricky relationship she has with death and kind of coming to terms with who death actually is and what death means. And yeah, it was so enjoyable. It was really fun. There is a lot of like sort of like action, but then also like tea parties at the same time, but like those kind of like society manners, and it was just so much fun. I cannot wait for Foxglove to come out. I'm also slightly anxious because I really enjoyed this one. I'm worried that Foxglove might not live up to those expectations, but I have high hopes, but I'll try and suppress them. But yeah, I can't wait to continue on with the story and with these characters, and I just really enjoyed where this went, and I'm just here for the ride. I don't need to kind of like have a really like intriguing or suspenseful plot. I'm just enjoying watching it all unfold. And then I read, this is a placeholder for the first book in the Lizzie and Belle mysteries. So this was Drama and Danger, and this is a middle grade mystery book, but it's also historical fiction because it is set in the Georgian period in London, and it follows the lives of two girls who are historical figures. One is Lizzie Sancho, the daughter of Ignatius Sancho, the daughter of Ignatius Sancho, who was a black poet and sort of like theatre artist of his time in that time period, and he was really well respected in that kind of community, and she is his daughter, so we're following it from her. We're also exploring the life of Dido Belle, and Belle is she's sort of been adopted into a family. She is also black, and her portrait is in a National Gallery. So the author has taken both those historical characters and kind of put them in places where they need to solve mysteries. And again, delightful. I love how they get to grips solving mysteries. And they both have a different way of approaching things. Belle is a lot more kind of research focused, and Lizzie is much more like practical, live by your seat of the pants, let's go and explore this and see what happens kind of girl. And they just really complement each other. Like, they do kind of have difficulties within that. They both have very kind of different backgrounds and can be slightly envious of each other, but they are good at talking and keeping this friendship going, because they both recognise that it is so wonderful to meet someone that kind of understands what it's like to be black in this world and have another girl who likes solving mysteries, and they're just so joyous. I really love them, and I can't wait for the next book. And finally, I finally read Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and I love this. This is brilliant. So there is a second book out currently, and I don't know how many books are planned, but I'm so excited. I absolutely trust that B.B. Alston is going to take this story where it needs to go, and I love being in this world. This is a wonderful world of magic, and this book has trials. It has kind of discovering your own magical identity. We've got this wonderful system with different magical schools. The Bureau, what's it called? The Bureau of something. The Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, which is kind of like this big sort of like apartment, office, school place where they can all be. But it sounds like there's also like pockets of other kind of hidden aspects kind of around the world as well. So I'm looking forward to like seeing if we get to see any of those in the next book, and seeing where Amari's story takes us. There was just so much in here, and it was absolute best time. So I really enjoyed all these series I started, but obviously it means then my series pile has grown. But I'm going to look at the books that I have progressed with now. So I have progressed further on with 3 series, which I'm just going to grab. Here we go, 3 series. So I've read the next book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is Percy Jackson and Sea of Monsters. This is a middle grade fantasy with Greek myths in a modern day setting of New York. I think it's very well known. I think it's a very well known series. It's a reread for me. I'm having a wonderful time rereading this series. It's got a lot of nostalgia, so it's just really easy to read and kind of get through. I originally read it because I wanted to reread it because it's been a while since I reread it. But I have discovered there is a new book coming out in the sort of Percy Jackson universe, which has made me really excited. I've read the first 2 series. I've read a bit of the Apollo, but I think I was feeling a bit Percy Jacksoned out, so I kind of left it. I now want to read that one and then be ready for this new book that's coming out in June, which I feel really, really excited about. So it is Rick Riordan and Mark Cyrus, because it's featuring one of my favourite characters that I really liked from the second, kind of came into his own in the second series, I felt like in the last book of the second series. And I'm not going to say any more because of spoilers, but yeah, so I've kind of like got another motivation for reading Percy Jackson. But yeah, so I've progressed on. I was really hoping to have reread this series within this year, but suddenly realising how many buddy reads I committed to, how many other series I started, I knew this just then wasn't going to happen. And it's fine, so I've shelved that plan and I'm just going to enjoy it as and when I read them. And look, it's such a pretty copy. The next one I progressed with, I'm going to show you the cover, but it is a placeholder. So this is the 4th book. I read Kidnap on the California Comet, which is the 2nd book in the Adventures on Train series. I'm really enjoying this book. I really enjoyed it a lot more than The Highland Thief. I don't know why, there was something about it that kind of just spoke to me more. I think I was more invested. I think it's because like the first one, they were exploring kind of like a robbery, whereas this one it was a kidnap. So I felt more invested in the story, and also like our main character was a lot more happy in his abilities to solve mysteries and a lot more comfortable with his uncle. And I really enjoy how he uses drawing to kind of help with his observation of what was there at the time. And you get some other wonderful characters in here, and it was just a great ride, really great ride, and I can't wait to keep reading these. I was going to read them out of order and read this one because it was wintry, but I ran out of time, as always. So I am actually going to return this one and read them in order and be a sensible person. But we'll see. I'm hoping that by sort of the end of the year, I can get to the 6th one, because the 6th out so far, because the 6th one also looks wintry, and then I can read it in the winter, which makes me happy. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, second one of those. And as I already mentioned, I started an Ember in the Ashes quartet. This is the second one, A Torch Against the Night. This one kind of we got to explore different places in here. So the first one was set at this military school. This one, we get a bit of journeying through the land, which was a lot of fun, and then ending up in another place, which I'm not going to tell you because of spoilers. And we get more of kind of the magical lore of this world in this. It picks up immediately from when the first one left off. So there is no breathing space. You're just running, basically. Running, there's danger. It is what I love about YA. It's fast paced and there's no let up. And in between my big adult epic fantasies where I'm enjoying exploring all the characters, sometimes I just really like a fast-paced YA, and this is absolutely ticking all the boxes for that. I find the characters really intriguing in this as well, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I really wish I could just be reading this and I don't want to kind of lose my momentum for it. If I put it like down too much, I don't want to lose my excitement for the next one. I don't feel I will, but like I definitely want to have this finished in like the first. I want these to be finished by June. I want this to be finished like in the first half of the year, but we'll see. I would like to read it alongside other people reading it. We'll find out. Anyway, really good fun. Okay, so that is the ones I've progressed with. Let me talk to you about the ones I am now up to date with. So there are 3 series I'm now up to date with. And it's kind of cheating because basically Lizzie and Belle Mysteries, Belladonna. There's only 1 book out in this series. The second book has not been released, so technically I'm up to date, but I only read 1 book. But they're going in my up to date pile because I can't read any more of them. The next one is, as I mentioned already, Once We Make Witches. The second book came out, Twice We Make Magic in June. So I have now read Twice We Make Magic, which I'm really pleased about. And I reread Once We Were Witches, which I'm really glad I did because I got to relive how much fun this was and why I love this book so much. Twice We Make Magic didn't live up to Once We Were Witches, unfortunately. I still had a fun time with it, but my expectations of what I wanted it to do, it wasn't hitting them. I definitely enjoyed like the first half of this, but it felt kind of, whereas with this one, I really enjoyed that it was like 3 separate sections and you had kind of a clear where the story was going. This one, there were 2 kind of different things going on. There was living in a place where witchcraft is outlawed and witches are hunted. And there is also a character has disappeared and they don't know where they are, and Spell really wants to find them. So you kind of had the 2 things kind of running alongside each other, and it was quite a bit back and forth. And also kind of when it all kind of pulled together, I felt we didn't have enough time with it. I didn't get closure on the sisters' relationship, on the coven, on the town being anti-witch. I didn't get closure on those points, and I want that. I want that closure. And it was kind of, there was an epilogue at the end that was like summing it all up. And I feel that could be the author trying to wrap up the series, whether that's her decision or the publisher's decision. But I really hope she doesn't. I really hope we get more in this series because I want more time with them. I want more Spell and Egg time. I want them to kind of learn more about each other. They sort of do, but not fully. And So I want more of that. I want more of Spell taking her place in the coven. I want more of what's the coven going to look like. I want more of what is the outer world, like the outer human world. I want a bit more of that. I want to explore more of kind of the other magical sides of things as well. I want more because I really enjoy the ideas in here. You know, there was a lot of fun with the ghosts, with Spell's powers, with them being their coven. And look, there's such lovely images in here. Look at this picture. Look at this illustration at the back. This is wonderful. The illustrator is Fabi Santiago, and I think she's done such a wonderful job. So we've got all the witches in these wonderful trees, and I love all the kind of the spooky branches that kind of come off. And here we have all our different witch characters. So we've got Spell in the middle with a spell book, and then you've got each of the witches around the other side experimenting with their different elemental magic. So Egg, for example, is air-based, has air-based magic. And I just love them all kind of sat round exploring their powers. And I want more of that. I want more, please, Sarah Driver. Give me more. I feel that's perfectly reasonable. So I'm holding out hope that this isn't the end, and I'm putting it in the up-to-date pile. I feel I should write to her and tell her I want more. Please. I can tell you ideas. You could do this. Give me more. Right, let's move on. So that is kind of where we are. That's everything I've been reading this term. So let's see how it has affected my piles, and then I'll do my little stats thing, which will be the last time I do that version because I have a better way of tracking stuff in the coming year. Okay, let's see if I can do this without screwing it up. So here we have the 19 series I was originally reading, but I can now take out all the Wandering Light and the House of Always because I've completed Chorus of Dragons and Even the Darkest Stars. But I need to add in some other ones. So I need to add in Amari, Edinburgh Nights, and I need to add in Lizzie and Belle mysteries, and one more which I'm going to come to in a minute because I'm using this book as a placeholder. So let's look at the series we're up to date. So I had 7. I have now completed Guardians of the Cloud Horse Chronicles, and Legendborn is now no longer up to date, so it needs to come over onto this one. So I now need to read Bloodmarked, and I have finished the Mistborn Era 2 series now, which means I can now add in Belladonna, waiting for Foxglove, which comes out in August 23. The Lizzie and Belle mysteries. Poisons and Portraits comes in March, end of March 2023. So that'll be good. And Twice We Make Magic. I'm holding out hope that there is going to be more. So that means I've still got 7 series up to date. And the final one that I'm adding to my progressing series is the Ember in the Ashes. Next book I need to read is A Reaper at the Gates. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 series that I'm currently reading. It's gone up, not down. And 7 series that I'm up to date with. So in terms of getting that series list down, not going so great. But I have finished 6 series, which feels like a big achievement. And I've got up to date with series, so I am progressing through them. I would rather it was just one pile of books though. I'd like to cut that in half. I've already mentioned this in my goals for the year. But the end of my first quarter, so the end of April this year, I'd started 14 series. I'd started 14 series. So considering that, I feel like I've done a lot at making sure I didn't start loads. Or the ones I have started I've then progressed with, so that's good. I've left my notebook on the floor which has got my stat details in, so I'm just going to grab that. So since last year, so I had everything as kind of like, last year I had 11 series that I was currently reading. I would fall up to date, and I kind of put finished series as a 0. So I have now finished 14 series, and that is 6 more series than the previous term. So that's plus 6 points for me. I'm up to date with 7 series. That is the same as the previous term's up to dateness, so that is 0 points. And I'm working on 21. The previous one, I'd got it written down as 18, but I think it was actually 19. But so I put -3, but I think it might actually be -2. So that gives me a total of, what I have put down is +3, but I think it's actually +4. Which gives me, so last term I was on +4, so now it's +7 or +8 as a whole. So I'm ending on a positive, which is good. I've done a lot. In terms of series. I'm pretty happy with it. And in terms of the different, when I compare between the whole year, so I'm on a +14 for the series because I'd started at 0. In December I had 4 series, I've now got 3, so that's a +3. December I had currently reading 11, I'm now on 21, so that's a -10, which gives me a total of 7. So either way you look at it, like comparing, whether I'm comparing termly or I'm comparing yearly, I'm in the positive points. So that's great. I have a whole new point system that I'm going to trial for next year. It might be crazier, but I feel it's gonna give me more of a valid overview of the series in terms of what it costs to kind of progress with series, and reflecting that maybe I shouldn't be giving myself plus points for just reading one book and then I'm up to date with a series. Woohoo! So it's going to give me more points for, like, the more I read, the more points I get kind of situation. So I feel it's going to be a better way of doing it. So there we go. That's this term's series. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if it kind of works better in 2 parts, and it's going to be like released on 2 different days. So you'll get part 1 and then the next day you'll get part 2. Let me know if that works better for you, or if you prefer to have the whole thing in a longer video in just one. I didn't have a choice. I had to go get my children and I had to stop, and I didn't want to redo the whole thing. But yeah, let me know, because I know I've recently done another video in 2 parts. So I'd be interested to hear what you thought. If you're still here after watching all of it, then do leave a massive stack of books in the comments if you haven't got anything else that you wanted to say to me, just so I know that you're here. That's always really nice. It's always nice to know, because it'll tell you how many views you get, but that could easily be someone like switching on for 1 second and going, ugh, well, I don't want to see this. So it's just interesting to me. If you've read any of these series and have any thoughts, or if you're wanting to read them, please get chatty in the comments. You know I love to chat. And I will enjoy having a wonderful discussion about books, which is why we're all here. So I hope you read some cracking series. I hope you're having a wonderful reading month. Happy reading, everyone.